Hi, everybody. We're waiting a few minutes. We apologize for starting a few minutes late with our Ask Me Anything. We're just letting a few more people into the Zoom, and then we'll get started shortly. So to introduce myself, actually, I think I know almost everybody here. I'm Beth Kuchar. I'm the president of Innovate Pasadena. And we do this Ask Me Anything event for the community every few weeks. Gives you the opportunity to connect with business leaders, community leaders who can help answer questions that you may have with regards to entrepreneurship or any kind of innovative pursuit that you may have. And today we are really happy to have with us Don Loewel, who is the director of the Pasadena Small Business Development Center. And he's going to be answering a few questions for us. But Don, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here.
You're very welcome, Beth, and thank you, and thank IP for having me. And if you're ready to get started, and I can do this a little slowly if we want to give folks a chance to join us. But again, my name is Don Loewel. I'm the director of the SBDC here at Pasadena City College. And we've been an SBDC for about 6 years now. And what I'm going to do before we open it up to questions is I'm going to show a short video and then run through some slides that should answer some questions, and then we'll get to a few that were submitted as well as to a few that or rather any that you may have. And by the way, to that end, please feel free to begin putting questions in the chat whenever you would like. And so, Kayun, can you see my slide or screen? All right, so let's start with a short video that talks a little bit about who we are and what we do. And
at America's Small Business Development Center, our mission is simple: to help businesses grow and succeed. At the SBDC, we offer no-cost consulting and low-cost training to make it easier for businesses to start, grow, and recover. As a valued resource partner of the SBA, the SBDC serves small business owners throughout the U.S. by providing timely expertise and advice that business owners can use today. These services are especially helpful for small businesses impacted by COVID-19. There are 9 SBDC locations in LA and Ventura counties, and one right here in Pasadena at Pasadena City College, where we offer one-to-one consulting with experts in SBA disaster loans, strategic planning, marketing, financial analysis, and many more vital services. For no-cost help with your small business, contact the PCC SBDC at 626-585-3105, SBDC at pasadena.edu, or pccsbdc.org. We are here to help, no cost and no catch.
so I'll leave that up for a second, and then we'll go through a few slides. By the way, before I move on, that video, I want to do a quick shout out to Pasadena Media. They're a great organization, and they helped us put together that video. I just thought I'd share that before I moved on. Great local organization. So I'm going to move through these quickly because the idea was to allow you to ask questions, but here was an agenda. We've already seen the video. To be more specific, we have 12 or 13 professional consultants that work for us here at the SBDC, and that's just here in Pasadena. We have over 100 throughout the network. We are grant funded by the SBA, by the state of California, and by our individual hosts. And what that means is that our consulting services are at no cost to you and your business. Here are a handful of the most basic things that we provide. The SBA and SBDC are known for our loans and for access to capital, but we do a whole lot more than that as well. Here are some workshops. One of the questions that came up was related to what are some of the resources that are out there that a small business might take advantage of. And within our SBDC, we're seeing a lot of demand right now for information on how to help pivot and how to obviously address the pandemic. So to that end, we're seeing a lot of demand, and we're doing quite a bit with website development, SEO, of course, e-commerce, and then social media as well. We're also beginning to help more and more clients develop business plans for the other side of the pandemic, as well as for the way it's impacting your business right now. These are examples. I will say that obviously we handle each individual client one-on-one. And so based on your business model and your needs, we'd find an advisor to help you out. I mentioned our network. We also partner with other locations, with the state of California, for example, as well, to provide other workshops for business owners. So the bulk of what we've done the last 4 months, as you can imagine, is related to disaster loans. And this is a slide I've used quite a bit. The EIDL Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance and the Paycheck Protection Program loan are no longer available. There is talk about and negotiation going on about extending the PPP, possibly. All of that begins in Congress. And so we're kind of waiting to hear, but they did have additional funds left. And there was talk of allowing small businesses that met a certain criteria to possibly obtain a second PPP loan. So obviously we'll keep you posted on that. The EIDL, the original EIDL loan itself, is still available. It's open to all businesses, including sole proprietors. And it's a loan that I would highly recommend people look at. Again, our team can help you with any questions. Here's a screen or a slide you may want to screenshot. If you haven't applied for the loan and you want to, there's your link. If you have applied but have not heard back, the information in the middle is for you. And we recommend that you send an email as well as call. You may need to wait on hold for a while, but you will eventually get someone on the phone who can help you follow up. And then thirdly, the EIDL reconsideration. If you've been declined for an EIDL loan, there's a chance, a good chance, as a matter of fact, that may have been based on a technicality, and you do have the ability to apply for reconsideration. Again, I have 4 or 5 folks on my team focused specifically on these loan products and can help you with reconsideration if you were declined. Obviously, the hottest topic right now related to the pandemic and small business would be PPP loans and their forgiveness. By now, I'm sure everyone on this call knows that they amended and extended the time for forgiveness. They changed the rule to 60% of the proceeds must be spent on payroll. But I couldn't do this presentation without at least stopping for a second and sharing that. So let's get to what we're here for. There were a few questions that had been submitted, and thank you for those. The first one, the pandemic definitely put some businesses into a hard pivot in their business models. Can you share a few successful shifts? So what I've done here is put a slide together that just hits the highlights of what we're seeing some of our existing businesses do to address the pandemic and do successfully. The first thing they've done in almost every case is to reassess their customer. Look at and analyze their customer for, what they knew before and how COVID may have changed that buying experience. And it's really important to look at the customer perspective, not just how it's affected your business, whether it's retail or a restaurant or whatever it may be, but also how has it impacted their buying experience? How has it changed how they want to buy and where they might be willing to buy? Also reconfirming the value props that they have been delivering all along and the markets that they've been doing business in. We have lots of clients who are looking to international markets, who are looking to contracting with the state or federal government. Maybe they thought about it for quite a while, and now they're acting on it. Business model, again, obviously really, really important. It needs to fit not just the pandemic, but also the customer. We've seen those that were the quickest to act and the most creative tend to be doing better. Those that, the classic example I think is restaurants who switched to grab and go and made that easier for their customers to continue to buy, did that quickly. So there was less of a lag, if possible, from the time that the shutdown took place to when they re-engaged them. And then also, it's really important that these changes meet your financial needs. You really need to assess the costs associated with your pivot. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have clients who are making a lot less than they were just to get through the pandemic. And I get that. But it is really, really important to understand all the costs associated with any potential changes you want to make, and then what the long-term impact of that might be on your business. And then technology, obviously really, really important, and is being applied, whether it's QR codes or e-commerce or any number of different virtual applications. We have a story about a client who's offering virtual workshops for their clients. So they chose to support their clients, their wholesalers, by providing virtual workshops for them to help them. They knew the technology better. They knew the importance to their customer and they bridge that gap to maintain that relationship. And it's really, I think, a neat story. The second question was about businesses that plan to launch this year. Is there a, quote, right time to do it? And can a business thrive during a pandemic? So also, I think a great question. And here's my answer, and that is, it's always a good time. It always can be a good time to launch a business if you have some key components to your plan. Do you have the expertise or a team with the expertise that's needed? Or is this just something that you like to do? Is there a significant need or a big problem in a big market that you can fulfill? Do you have the ability to deliver those value props to those customers, either through, not either, both through your business model as well as your distribution? So can you get your product and service to them? And is there a way for them to easily transact with you? And do they want to transact in that way? Obviously, you need capital for the vast majority of businesses. Again, we do that through a myriad of different ways here at the SBDC, from commercial capital to relationships with private equity and private funders, angels, VCs, etc. And then obviously team. And these aren't, by the way, new for you as business owners, I'm sure, especially any folks that have started up recently. But the question gave me a chance, I think, to go back and reassert that if you have these and you have resources to support what you're doing, it's a good time to start a business, and we can certainly help you. So the third question was related to what are some of the resources that are available. As I showed you, our workshops, I think, are a good place to start, but certainly the SBDC isn't the only resource that may be out there. There are other government and non-government support services that our advisors could refer you to as well. I think, without being repetitious, if you're assessing the changes you want to make across some key metrics before you pivot, then you should be in good shape. Obviously, with the pandemic, there are certain industries that have been hit harder and require more creativity, if you will. We're not seeing folks launch sit-down restaurants, sit-down fine dining right now, or local commuter airlines, but there are other opportunities. We've seen a lot of pivots to providing PPE, and we have a lot of clients that have retooled to meet the demands of their fellow small business owners and are succeeding right now. So those are a few examples. So with that, I'm going to the chat, see if we had any other questions.
And Don, if it's helpful, I can jump in because we do actually have a couple of questions from our audience here. And I know you already touched upon in your intro the Paycheck Protection Program loans, but we've got Daniel here who's asking, any idea of future PPP loans for businesses that have already received one?
Yeah, and hi, Daniel. Thanks for the question. So this is hearsay. Let me start with the disclaimer. Although I think it's pretty public knowledge that Congress was debating and discussing an opportunity to roll out a second chance at PPP. One part of that was they were looking to make it available to much smaller businesses, which I think is great. It will come, pretty safe bet, it would come with additional contingencies related to maybe your current business and how you would spend it, similar to the original PPP loan. Unfortunately, right now that's all being debated in Congress, and we're waiting kind of by the phone and then waiting to hear from the SBA about whether or not we'll see more of that. But at this point, that's all I know.
We've also got another question for you from Aaron, who said, it seems that the SBA and the SBDC in general is geared towards businesses which are in retail and focus. Your video showed restaurants, florists, hairdressers, etc. While you mentioned angel and VC funding, it seems that most SBA funding is debt-based, which is not a great fit for most technology startups. Is this opinion fair? Do you have examples of the SBDC working with tech startups or non-retail type companies? I think that's an interesting one for a lot of the Innovate Pasadena community as well.
It's actually a great question and totally fair. So let me start by saying you're right about the SBA. It is a federal program really focused on supporting small business in general, but doing that in a big way through debt financing, right? SBA loans, there are 3 or 4 different loans specific to help primarily existing businesses, although there are loans available to new businesses through the SBA. And I'd be happy to pair anyone up with an advisor or a contact to kind of walk you through that. In terms of, let's say, tech-based, we don't see it as much. However, we do do quite a bit of work with really new startups in through some of the local schools. So on my team, I have a lecturer, professor from Marshall, and we do quite a bit of coaching around feasibility. We run a program here called Venture Launch, which is a basically National Science Foundation I-Corps program that helps entrepreneurs assess the feasibility of their ideas. We also do quite a bit of work with folks who have ideas and are either already attempting to go to market or looking to do that beyond feasibility. And what I'm talking about is pitch deck development. Kind of step 2 is the pitch, and then the introduction. And so we have relationships with different angel groups, Tech Coast, Pasadena, and we do on occasion send referrals to them. Many of those startups, by the way, are food-based or CPG. based, as it turns out, and that's because a few of our experts really know that space. But the relationships we have do allow us to work with let's call them tech startups, but it isn't the same weight as what we're seeing otherwise. Now, having said that, I'll also say that we have a relationship with a sister company in LA called Bixel Exchange, which is really tech focused. And so throughout the network, we also have relationships and support resources that can help. I don't know, Aaron, if that was helpful. Let me just add, we're really accessible as well. I'll put my contact in the chat, and you're certainly welcome to schedule some time. We can chat about it, and I can connect you with some folks. You can pressure test that, if you will, and see if we might not be able to support what you're doing. We're not known for it, but we definitely have relationships and expertise to speak to founding entrepreneurs and startups.
And I'm curious, unless it doesn't look like we've got any more questions coming in. So I'm wondering, is there one overarching, and this might be a big one to put you on the spot, Don, but is there one overarching piece of advice that you might give an entrepreneur during this time?
There's some.
There's a lot, I'm sure.
I don't mind you putting me on the spot, but let me say that this is my perspective on successful startups and small businesses, and for me, it always comes back to product market fit and the value propositions that you're exchanging, matching up with a specific customer. Many times, I would encourage entrepreneurs and business owners to keep coming back to how are we changing this customer's life? How are we improving? What value are we exchanging with them? Ideally, part two of that, or the other side of the coin, is you want the biggest possible market you can find. But we see a lot of offset or misfit. I meant that in two words, misfit, between the products and services that are offered and the needs of the customer. Now, half of my team is trained in lean startup. And so if you're familiar with that, it's a lot about product market fit and specific customers and value props that meet their needs. But that's always what I tend to want to start with and encourage entrepreneurs to think about, regardless of what they're selling. Let me just add to that, and I had it on my slide, those folks who are getting really creative or willing to put some time into thinking about different ways to deliver that customer experience or deliver a different one in a creative way are doing well. And then lastly, I'll put a plug in again for, there are resources out there. You don't need to be alone as a business owner right now. And, with all the expertise and knowledge and resources we have, sometimes some of the strongest things we offer business owners is, a partner who takes no equity, who charges nothing, and who is 100% confidential at all times. Someone that you can bounce ideas off. And I used this term earlier, but pressure test some of the ideas that you may have before you roll them out. We can do that for you, or we can connect you with folks who can.
Great. Well, thank you. I know I asked a hard question. So, it doesn't look like we have any additional questions in the chat. Just one last shout out. I think you have maybe a couple of minutes. We went over a little bit here, but if anyone has a question for Don, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. And if not, Don, any last minute plugs or anything going on with the SBDC that people should be aware of or know about?
So we will be starting a new venture launch program. It's not for existing businesses, but we will be beginning a new cohort at the end of September, beginning of October. We have 4 of the 7 teams that we typically place in that cohort. And again, it's 6 weeks of lean startup, business model canvas, customer discovery. So if folks know of any entrepreneurs who may want to build a business model canvas around an idea they may have, that'll be going on here at PCC. Otherwise, we're going to continue to support our clients as we move through this pandemic, doing our best to keep folks afloat and to help people not just survive, but also thrive. And we're here if you need us.
Great. Don, thank you so much for joining us today and answering everyone's questions. Innovate Pasadena really appreciates it.
You're so welcome. Thank you again for having me. And again, I just put that in the chat. Feel free. I'd recommend you text me. Email me or text me if you'd like to make some time to chat. And I'll just sign off by saying, again, thank you and best of luck to all the small business owners on this call. We're here if we can help.
Thanks, Don.